In our next session, we're going to talk about unlocking the power of LinkedIn.
Yeah, so how many people are using LinkedIn?
Most of us.
Not all hands raised, but okay. All right, let's welcome on stage Peter Dudas, Senior Account Executive at LinkedIn.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unlocking the Power of LinkedIn. I saw that there were a couple of people who didn't raise their hands, which actually is not surprising for me, and I'll talk a bit about that during the presentation as well. So, I'm Peter Dudas. I'm a Senior Account Executive at LinkedIn. So I mainly work with business leaders in the Baltics region, and I'm helping them to unlock the power of LinkedIn so that they can achieve the goals of their organizations. Well, the agenda for today's presentation is, first we're going to talk a bit about the vision of the platform, vision of this company, how that translates into real-life data, some interesting facts, statistics that we see on the platform, connected to our world, Europe, and also Baltics. And then why it's important for company leaders to leverage this network and how it can really help them to achieve their goals. And why applying the methodology that we really recommend for our clients matters. Our vision, creating economic opportunity for every member in the global workforce. What does that mean in numbers? So at the moment, we have more than 1 billion members on the platform, close to 70 million companies, more than 100,000 schools, universities, and there are, at this moment, 50 million job vacancies that are waiting for people to apply who can offer more than 40,000 skills. And so obviously these are huge numbers, these are huge pillars, and they're continuously interacting between each other. And the good news is we can see those interactions. Whenever there is some interaction between these, LinkedIn creates a data point. And so at the core of this network, we have members who are looking for new jobs, looking for new opportunities, and organizations. It can be startups, can be companies, can be all sorts of institutions that are looking to grow their teams. They are looking to create meaningful partnerships. And interestingly, if we look more closer, then we see that only in the last 3 years, there has been a huge increase in the number of members in Europe, growing from 227 million to almost 300 million just 3 years. LinkedIn has been 21 years old, so as you can see, there is a massive growth. There is still huge opportunity in the platform. But even more interesting is the numbers in Baltics. So you can see that it almost doubled in just 3 years. So 3 years ago, it's actually when I joined LinkedIn, there were around 800,000 people in the 3 countries. And then this grew in just 3 years, actually a bit less, to 1.5 million. What fueled this increase? Well, obviously, there has been so the Baltics is a growth region. More and more people are realizing that there are huge opportunities for them. They can look for new jobs on the platform. But also, many people are relocating to this region. Obviously, there are very strong startups here. There's a high-tech industry. And so from other places, people are moving to the Baltics. And so connected to this, I wanted to tell you a story. So obviously, depending on the country, but the market penetration is between 40 to 60%. And I was talking to a colleague of mine from the Netherlands. In the Dutch market, the market penetration is 90 to 95%. So there is this preconception that LinkedIn is mainly for people from, white-collar industries, but there are other more developed regions where people are with blue-collar professional background are joining. Because tying this to our vision, it's about creating economic opportunities for every member of the global workforce. So the mission moving forward is this. And why this all matters. So Nielsen has been doing a market research study a couple of years ago, and what they found out that from a social media perspective, the users are the most intent-driven on LinkedIn. So generally, people are not, just logging in, scrolling a bit, checking random content. They're intent-driven, meaning that they're looking for, new job opportunities. They're looking for ways to, grow their client base, have new partnerships. And so why is this important? Because, again, recapping a bit here, at the core we have members and customers. Both of them are looking essentially to grow on this platform, whether it's about their career, it's about their company, it's about engaging with partners, with clients. And why is this important for company leaders, for executives? Because it's a platform where you will find intent-driven decision makers at scale. Maybe they want to improve their processes. They want to grow their teams. So those people, those executives who are managing to locate these intentions will be able to create meaningful partnerships. But when we get there, or actually before we get there, there are important, very critical steps to make. Branding. How to make sure that we are driving awareness. And so obviously there are many challenges with regards to this when somebody arrives to this point. Obviously they, as an executive, as a leader, they have no time. They have no resources. Obviously there is a huge competitive landscape already. There are a lot of companies in a lot of regions, a lot of influencers, leaders who are already driving, leading those conversations. How we can stand out in that environment. And then of course, it's also many times, and this is from my experience, companies arrive to the point where they're like, okay, I want to grow my team. I want to hire new people. I want to make a sale. I want to make acquisition. But then what they realize is that they do not have a strong pipeline. They do not have enough candidates. They do not have enough leads. So they cannot really be successful in the acquisition part. And so why is this important? Because there are very important steps that have to be managed, they have to be controlled before we get to the acquisition part. And these are stages where we see that when leaders are actively participating, it really accelerates results. Making sure that company leaders, startup owners, they're driving awareness so they can have engaged followers, candidates, who will actually consider their proposals. There is an interesting statistic. Before somebody is actually applying, let's say, for an opportunity, or they will actually get to the point to accept an offer, a member, on average, has 6 interactions, touch points with a company, with a brand. They will check your company profile, they will check your content, your posts, they will check, most importantly, your employees, and obviously, the leaders at that company. What kind of value they're driving? What are they communicating? And so these are steps that an average LinkedIn member is doing before actually getting to the point to consider your proposal. And so what we see is that those companies, those clients that are actually aware of these steps and they want to control actively, they do have a strategy in place, and this will help them to really catalyze and get to those objectives much more efficiently than the ones who are not so conscious about these steps. And so, obviously, first step, completing your page is going to drive way more views, way more results, and it's a good kickstart to grow your follower base. Including multimedia in your posts. So LinkedIn has many different ways, obviously, through visuals, videos, and then obviously live streams. But from a video perspective, those are driving 5 times more engagement than any other type of form. And boosting the page, and this is where leaders have to come in. It's not only the company page and the marketers that will drive that awareness, but also the ones who are leading these organizations. And why? Sparking the conversation. Initiating discussions. What does that mean? Executives and leaders are achieving 3 to 4 times better engagement than just a regular company post. It's another question because what we see is that 40% more likely to be perceived as competitive in case they have an active business leader. By the way, these are not numbers that I'm making up. Obviously, we have millions of members, millions of companies, and so LinkedIn is doing regular research studies so that we can understand what are the trends. And so we aggregate this data, and so companies can use it to create strategies moving forward with the help of this network. But more so, after initiating the discussions, it's important to activate your employees, because content shared by employees is driving 7 to 8 times more engagement. what we see is that those companies that have active employees who are engaged, who want to share more stories, values, and obviously related to products and solutions, on average, they have 58% more sales leads than those companies who are less active. So it's no question, going live, very important. You can do LinkedIn Lives, you can do all sorts of interactive engagements through which you will have way more reactions, way more comments. And so this will help you to really accelerate your brand. And obviously the webinars. So those are the best friends, based on our experience, of salespeople, of HR leaders. Why? Because those are driving by far the best conversion rates, more than any type of marketing content. And so thought leadership. Time and time again, it has been proven that it's very valuable for businesses. And I'm going to share here another couple of stats. 2/3 of LinkedIn members find those companies that are having thought leadership content, so conversations driven by executives, by their leaders, to be much more trustworthy than any other type of content. It will generate 62% on average, and I'm still talking about our region, more job applicants for your vacancies. And probably one of the most important part is that decision makers are 88% more likely to increase their investments to buy from companies that are having this type of content. Because obviously the marketing is going to be in place, but what are those who are leading these organizations? What type of conversations they are driving? What value they are communicating? And so to conclude this part, your branded investments, based on our experience, will deliver results. Make sure to communicate your company culture. Start driving those conversations, making sure to utilize those LinkedIn solutions that will help you grow meaningful awareness, targeted awareness. And this way, you're not only driving the conversation, but you'll manage to lead the conversation in your region, in your industry. And we can see that this is clearly driving qualified leads, qualified talent, so you can have a much more steady and healthy pipeline for the future. And yeah, just to recap a bit, the LinkedIn methodology is very simple but very effective. Before the acquisition stage, and why I'm saying this is because, again, based on my experience, this is how usually companies reach out. I want to sell, I want to hire people. But there are so many stages before that. And it's very important to understand that without driving awareness in such a strong network with millions of people, millions of companies, with a lot of noise, it's important to know how to stand out, have a strategy behind that. So making sure, because obviously there are so many potential clients, potential hires that do know nothing about you. Maybe they don't know enough, and you want to make sure that they will understand what you're doing and will want to be part of this journey. And why? Because on average, 75% of new hires are actually considering the employer brand. They will have a lot of interactions on LinkedIn, checking, viewing, being interested in your brand, and after that, they will get to the point where they might consider applying for your roles. And probably a very most powerful stat is that 88% of buyers, investors, are more likely to increase their investments in your brand if you are showing very strong market leadership. So it's never too late to start. Thank you.